Hey everyone, nice to see you today. I'd like to chat to you about a topic that's very dear to my heart. And I bet that you grew up in a similar narrative about food and health that I did. Were you told that you needed a balance of protein, carbs, and vegetables? Were you told that we need animal protein to be healthy? And that most definitely we need dairy to have enough calcium? There was some pretty convincing marketing around that, wasn't there? And I'm guessing that most of us here started to get the taste for meat and dairy as an infant, and it would have been blended into our soft foods even before we could chew. And our addiction pathways got a taste for it from a very young age, and it's even become a part of our identity. And I believed this narrative for a long time about we needing meat and dairy to be healthy until I was about 25, when I took an overseas trip to Central America. And it was actually around my 25th birthday, and I was staying with a host family in a small town in Nicaragua called San Juan del Sur. And I actually didn't have many friends at the time. I was traveling alone. And so I'd go to Spanish lessons in the morning, and then I'd come back to the house where I was staying afterwards and just sit on the grass. And I'd sit next to my family pig friend and share energy and space with her. She was lovely. She was a very kind and intelligent pig, and I'd just sit next to her and spend time with her. At the time, I didn't actually question her living conditions, which was about a small 1 by 2 metre pen, because I was conditioned to thinking that that was normal for animals to be in small pens. But a couple of days, well, maybe a week or two into this staying with this family, I woke up to the most piercing, screeching scream. And I was half asleep when I heard it, and I didn't really understand what was going on. So I put my earplugs in and I went back to sleep. And the moment that occurred as I came out of my room an hour or two later has changed my life forever. So when I got out to the kitchen, her legs were hanging on the wall and her head was just sitting on the table. My friend, my only friend in the country at this time, was dismembered. And now I remembered her scream. Everyone else in the family was walking around casually as if nothing had happened, indifferent. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but if anything, I could sense there was a sense of happiness, and probably, I'm guessing, at their upcoming enhanced dinner menu choices. And I felt so sad that I had done nothing to help my friend as she was being murdered, and that I covered her screams with my earplugs. I prioritised my sleep over her cries, and I am still deeply sorry for that. And before this particular day and seeing what happened, bacon was one of my favourite food choices, and I'd often order BLTs, like bacon, lettuce, tomato on a bagel or something at a cafe, and that was my favourite thing to order. I'd always ask for crispy bacon, and I'd be like selfishly annoyed if it didn't come out crispy enough. And obviously, looking back at that time, I was putting my taste buds first, and I was just indifferent and unaware of the trauma and the suffering that I was ingesting. It was just food, and it was yummy food. But ever since that day in Nicaragua, things are different. And I now know that it's someone on that burger. It's not something, it's someone who has very real emotions and needs, as we do. And I really don't understand how this has become normal. That it's normal that we're unaware of the suffering on our dinner plates. We can even say a meal of prayer and thanks. We can say a prayer, of thanks before a meal, and even ask for peace as we're praying, and then just chow down on the violence and complete unnecessary suffering that this being endured at the end of their life. and probably for a lot of their life enslaved in a small area. I mean, I regularly hear the bacon jokes, the steak jokes, and the vegan jokes. Even at church, they come fast and steady. I mean, the Christian message is a preaching of unity, and we preach of love and peace. And yet, there's also a message that we have the right to take other creatures' life, and many times it's funny. It's become normal in our industry practice here for dairy and meat to impregnate animals against their will. I mean, if this was a human, that would be called rape. We enslave them in horrendous conditions that most of us are not allowed to see. And then we take their young away from them in the dairy industry so that we can have the milk, and then their young lives are taken away from them in many cases, particularly the male animals. Wow. And that's God. Did God really put them here for us to treat them like that? Would a loving God create all these divine creatures that experience emotions like no different to our own to be used? What does it feel like to be used? Is that love? Is that care? Is it kindness? Is it spiritual? Wouldn't it be more of an egocentric interpretation of the Bible that we could just take? That we would be indifferent to their families, their needs, their need for connection and love and security, and we could just take from them? Wouldn't a more loving approach, which is unclouded by addictive taste buds, see that love respects the lives of animals, love respects their space and their needs for family and connection and peace, their need just to be left alone? Wouldn't love live in harmony with animals and nature? Our kingdom come, our will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Bringing heaven to earth, would that include the animals? Or is it just the humans? And we now know without a doubt that a plant-based diet can easily meet our dietary needs. Not only that, in most cases, it actually enhances our health and energy, let alone our spiritual clarity. I can testify that I've felt so much more in alignment with my deeper self since I stopped eating dairy and meat, and that I have such a clarity of dreams and connection with the Holy Spirit that wasn't there when I ate all that suffering. I can feel a deep peace within me when I can look into an animal's eyes and know that I'm their friend, that I'm not a predator to them, I'm a friend. It feels really, really, really right to be living that way. And as a bonus, it decreases our risk of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and so many different illnesses when we just go back to plant-based. Would that maybe be more like the original design in the Garden of Eden, to be having a plant-based diet, and particularly for the most part? So what's stopping us eating a whole foods plant-based diet? Is it habit? Is it culture? Is it peer pressure? Is it our taste buds? Would you be willing to live a kinder way? Would you be willing to put someone else's life before those fleeting taste buds that only last a few moments anyway? Would you be willing to put respect for their life before that sensory pleasure? Would you be willing and excited to live a life in deep harmony with your deeper spirit, and the joy that comes from that. And to be part of bringing in this new way of living, of harmony and peace and love and congruence with our deeper selves and Holy Spirit. Yeah. So let's at this time make a commitment. Would you be willing to make a commitment to yourself and to our animal friends and the earth to respect all life? All life. No matter what colour fur, what colour skin, to respect. To just let animals be and to be kind to them and to love them and be friends with them and experience the enriching connection of that. Because wouldn't we agree, after all, that God is love? God is love. We know that in our hearts. And we know that we're made in the image and likeness of God. So let's live that. Let's live a more caring, kinder way. And my wish today, my deep wish, would be that you would join me in that way of living. Bless you.